And Jerusalem is the place he chose as his capital, making it not only a holy city, but a political one too.
For many years, some historians and archaeologists argued that King David, one of the most important figures in the Bible, may never have existed. For a long time, that idea seemed possible. Despite centuries of excavation across ancient sites in Israel, researchers had not found clear physical evidence of the great palace or royal capital described in biblical texts. Without direct proof, some scholars believed the story of David might have been partly symbolic or legendary. But in recent years, the discussion has begun to change. During the last few years, archaeologists have studied the question again using modern tools and more careful methods. Techniques such as high-precision dating, microscopic soil analysis, and improved excavation technology are allowing researchers to look at ancient sites in new ways. Because of this, several discoveries have started to reshape the conversation. In this video, we will look at 5 important archaeological findings that many researchers believe support the historical existence of King David and the early royal center connected to him. These discoveries come from carefully studied excavations and have been examined by scholars working in the field of archaeology. As we go through them, remember that archaeology rarely gives simple answers. Each new piece of evidence adds to a larger puzzle that scholars continue to study and debate. Still, the discoveries we are about to explore offer some of the strongest clues so far about the world that may have surrounded King David and the early kingdom described in the Bible. So let's take a closer look at the evidence. The archaeologists who persisted. Researchers such as Joseph Garfinkel, Sayar Ganner, Eilat Mazar, and others did not build their arguments on belief alone. Their focus was evidence. That meant continuing the slow work of excavation and analysis. There was also another reason they kept going. Archaeology has surprised scholars before. The ancient city of Jericho was once doubted by some researchers until excavations revealed its long history. The Hittites were once dismissed by critics as a fictional people mentioned only in the Bible, until their capital at Hattusa was discovered in modern-day Turkey. Again and again, the pattern has been the same. New evidence from the ground can change long-held assumptions. Because of that history, these archaeologists did not simply abandon the question. Instead, they re-examined the approach rather than asking only, "Where is the palace of King David?" They began asking broader questions. What kinds of remains would a 10th century kingdom actually leave behind? How can signs of taxation, organized armies, or royal administration be recognized in ancient ruins? And could researchers be looking in the wrong archaeological layers, perhaps missing the correct time period by only a few decades? At that point, the work moved deeper into careful scientific study within archaeology. Over time, certain patterns began to appear in the data. After years of excavation and analysis, these scholars identified several discoveries that many believe deserve serious attention. Each one adds another piece to the debate over whether the kingdom described in the Bible reflects a real historical setting. But before looking at those 5 discoveries, there is one earlier find that must be understood first. It was discovered decades ago, then re-examined with modern methods. What researchers learned from it became one of the first major pieces of non-biblical evidence connected to the story of King David. The archaeological problem. King David is one of the best-known figures in ancient history. His name appears in the Bible, the Quran, and many later traditions. Around the world, billions of people believe he once lived. According to these texts, around the 10th century BCE, he ruled from Jerusalem, leading armies and building a kingdom that stretched from Judah in the south toward the northern tribes of Israel. That is the traditional story. But this is where the difficulty appears. If such a large kingdom truly existed, many historians expect that it should have left clear physical evidence. Palaces, defensive walls, administrative buildings, or other signs of organized rule would normally remain in the archaeological record. When we look at places such as ancient Egypt, for example, monuments like the pyramids and temples still stand thousands of years later. The same is true for royal centers in Mesopotamia, where massive palace walls and city structures have survived for centuries. A kingdom described as powerful and wide-reaching would normally leave similar traces. Yet for a long time, excavations around Jerusalem and nearby areas seem to tell a quieter story. Archaeologists often uncovered small homes, fragments of walls, and scattered building remains. These findings suggested modest settlements rather than the center of a large and organized kingdom. Because of this, serious questions began to appear in academic discussions. Some scholars wondered whether David had been a powerful king at all, or perhaps a smaller local leader whose story grew larger in later tradition. Others asked whether the kingdom described in ancient texts reflected history, memory, or a mixture of both. The debate became so complicated that younger archaeologists were sometimes advised to avoid the subject entirely. It was considered controversial and difficult to prove with certainty. Still, a few researchers continued to study the problem. They argued that the absence of evidence does not always mean the event never happened. Sometimes it means the right evidence has not yet been found, or that the search has been focused in the wrong places or time layers. That question slowly began to guide a new wave of research. What if the challenge was not the story of David itself, but the way archaeologists had been searching for it all along? What happens next in 2026? Something interesting is happening in the search for answers. Researchers are no longer focused only on finding large walls or huge buildings. Instead, they are studying the smallest traces left behind in those places. In many cases, the most important clues are now found at the microscopic level. Modern archaeology is learning something important. Palaces and cities can be destroyed, rebuilt, or reused over centuries. But small remains such as seeds, ash, bones, and dust often stay buried in the ground. Those tiny fragments can still hold valuable information. Many of the newest discoveries are coming from these kinds of materials. Today, laboratories are using high-precision radiocarbon dating on items like olive pits, burnt seeds, and pieces of wood discovered in ancient foundations from the 10th century BCE. In the past, the margin of error for this type of dating could be close to 100 years. New methods are now reducing that margin to about 20 or 30 years. Researchers are also applying DNA analysis to remains found at sites connected with groups such as the Philistines and early Israelites. Scientists are studying ancient population movement to see whether the cultural boundaries described in ancient texts might match real historical communities. Excavations are continuing in Jerusalem as well. Careful work is taking place at areas like the Givati parking lot and the Ophel. Archaeologists are slowly removing later Roman and Byzantine layers in order to reach the time traditionally associated with King David and King Solomon. Looking back, the journey from an ancient stone inscription discovered in 1868 to the scientific tools of 2026 shows how our understanding of history can evolve over time. What once seemed uncertain can become clearer as new methods and discoveries appear. If this video helped answer your questions, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you still have doubts or want to challenge something we discussed, tell us in the comments below. We genuinely read them. Also, if there is any other famous place or mystery that everyone debates, yet you feel lacks a clear, research-based explanation, write its name in the comments. We will definitely explore that next. Until then, thanks for watching.